But then where do you send people? Because some of these countries like Venezuela don't accept deportations right now. Mexico's president indicated her country might be willing to receive non-Mexican migrants who are deported. How does that work? Does the U.S. pay Mexico to then ship those people off somewhere else?
We're hoping that President Trump will work with Venezuela and like he did with Mexico and El Salvador and get these countries taken back. If they don't, they're still going to be deported. They're just going to be deported to a different country. We're not going to be held up on removing public safety.
Former ICE Director Tom Homan completely dismantled CBS's Margaret Brennan, who once again showcased how much of mainstream journalism has drifted into emotional advocacy. The entire exchange was classic Homan, steady, factual, and unflinchingly direct, while Brennan leaned on familiar, rehearsed talking points instead of substantive questions. You could practically see her frustration as each attempt to corner him fell apart in real time.
Cheap labor. On day one, are you going to restart raids on work sites, on construction sites?
The President Trump's been clear, as I've been clear from day one, that the President is going to concentrate on public safety threats and national security threats. And have you heard from your previous segments, we have a huge national security issue in this country. The southwest border has become the biggest national security vulnerability we've seen in this nation. The FBI Director Wray agrees with me. We know there's people in this country who pose a national security threat. They've arrested a record number of people on terrorist watch lists, a 3,500% increase in people on the terrorist watch list being arrested at the border. We got over 2 million known gotaways. We know 2 million people cross the border, weren't arrested, weren't vetted, weren't fingerprinted. So you got to ask yourself, why did 2 million people pay more to get away? Why didn't they pay less, turn themselves into border patrol, get a free airline ticket to the city of their choice, get a free hotel room, get 3 meals a day, get free medical care?
I mean, how do you know where the criminals are, I guess is the question. And if they're working at a work site, are you going to show up to surprise them?
Well, look, we know a lot of the criminals are. ICE they're great at this work. We know where some are, but they simply haven't been able to go arrest them because of Secretary Mayorkas' priorities. It handcuffed ICE. And here's what's going to happen when we go to the community and find that person, find that criminal alien. He's probably going to be with others who will have to arrest.
Okay.
So,
what you just said in there, it sounded like you were talking about collateral arrests. So you're going to target people you know are criminals, but if they happen to be living in a house where there are other undocumented people, you're going to sweep them.
And honestly, it's the same routine every time he appears on one of these programs. The anchors, often partisan, often emotional, roll out the same exaggerated gotcha questions like, will you arrest people at work, or what if family members are involved, as though enforcing immigration law has suddenly become immoral. It's the equivalent of asking a police chief whether he'd arrest someone helping a bank robber hide. That's the level of disconnect we're dealing with. It perfectly illustrates how unserious many in the media and Democratic leadership have become about illegal immigration. They don't even address it as a legal issue anymore.
and save lives.
And so the recommendation of the many that you recommended family separation.
I recommended zero tolerance.
Which includes family separation.
The same as it is when every U.S. citizen parent gets arrested with a child.
Zero tolerance was interpreted as the policy that separated children from their
If I get arrested for DUI and I have a young child in the car, I'm going to be separated. When I was a police officer in New York and I arrested a father for domestic violence, I separated that
Mr. Homan, with all due respect, legal asylees are not charged with any crime.
When you're in the country illegally, it's violation of 8 United States Code 1325.
Seeking asylum is legal.
If you want to seek asylum, go through the port of entry, do it the legal way.
But here's where it gets worse. Democrats and their media allies will now saturate the airwaves with emotional stories, soft music, tears, dramatic montages, all crafted to portray deportations as cruelty rather than the enforcement of existing law. What you won't see are the sanctuary city policies that helped create these problems, or the corporations quietly benefiting from illegal labor while posing as compassionate. Every heartfelt interview will carefully avoid mentioning how lawbreakers were shielded for years at the expense of taxpayers and public safety.
To go to workforces.
As far as being in jails and prisons, we would love to work in local jails, but sanctuary cities won't allow us into those jails. It's much easier to arrest a public safety threat and the safety and security of public jail than out in the street. Because the officer is safer that way, the alien is safer that way, the community is safer that way. But sanctuary cities will continue to release public safety threats back in the community,
Yeah.
to the immigrant community, it puts that community at greater risk of crime. If more agents in the jails means less agents in the neighborhoods. That's why I'm pleading with sanctuary cities. Let us in the jail to arrest the bad guy. That way you're not forcing it in the community. So, if you go to an immigrant community and ask them, would you rather have ICE operating in your local jails or would you want them in the community? What do you think they're going to say? They don't want bad criminal aliens in their neighborhoods either. So let us work with the jails. Let us work with law enforcement. Sanctuary cities are not safe for the immigrant community. They're not safe for our officers. We got to put the safety of the American people first. We've had too many young women murdered and raped and burned alive by members of Venezuelan gangs. They need to be a priority under this administration. They're going to be a priority starting day one, and they will be.
And let's be honest, Democrats benefit from this chaos. The more dramatic and emotional the coverage becomes, the easier it is for them to play the heartless Republican card and paint Homan and Trump as villains. It's never really about citizens or immigrants, it's about election optics. That's why having someone like Homan in charge matters, someone willing to enforce the law and push back against politically motivated smear campaigns. But I'm curious, what's your take on the upcoming large-scale enforcement efforts? What kind of pushback do you think Homan and Trump will face in that first year? Drop your thoughts below. And if you're enjoying this kind of breakdown, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more.